In this episode of John's Arcade, we are going to do an all-access tour of Ice Cold Beer. That's right, the 1983 Taito Classic. It's not a video game, guys. It's like this cool mechanical game. We're going to look at every inch of it, inside and out, and then we're going to play the game afterwards. Then we're going to come back to the table and do some viewer mail, and we're going to talk about this stuff, yeah? Because it's all part of viewer mail. So anyway, guys, let's get on with the show. Hey guys, we are in the basement, and today we're gonna do a John's Arcade, like a gameplay type video with all access tour inside of a game, looking at stuff, seeing how it works kind of thing video. Yeah, that's right, we're gonna do one of those videos. And actually, this video was requested by a viewer. Now, if you guys saw the last video, which was part number 2 of the Gottlieb power supply rebuild, I actually read the email. And I'm gonna read just kind of the high points really quick here. But this is basically gonna set up this video because Anthony Peters, a Swiss guy living in Sydney, Australia, he sent me an email. He actually sent the email 4 times and basically saying, John, I'll just kind of paraphrase and get to the point here. The main reason of my message, John, is Ice Cold Beer, which you also made me discover. He says I made him discover Tapper, by the way, and his high score is 76,000 points, which is fantastic. Mine's like around 60, 65. Anyway, those are almost impossible to find here, so I'm gonna build one from scratch. He's gonna build an Ice Cold Beer from scratch. That's crazy talk. Anyway, I did find some technical documents online, vendor's manual, etc., but there is still a lot I cannot find out about the guts for the machine, of the machine. Since you're thinking about doing technical videos the next coming weeks, would you accept to make one about Ice Cold Beer and all of its technical aspects? How does it look inside? How does it detect and channel the ball from the right and wrong holes? How does it pull the ball back into the game? Motors, gears, pulleys, switches, holes, lighting, etc. Okay? There's probably tons of people like me wondering how that beast actually works anyway. That would be absolutely awesome, as I know I will probably never be able to find an Ice Cold Beer around here for me to have a look inside. I'm crossing my fingers. Keep it up. Cheers, mate. Anthony Peters. All right, Anthony, we're gonna do that in this video. We are gonna go over to Ice Cold Beer and we're gonna pull it out and we're gonna look at how this thing works. And I think it can be kind of fun because, you know, I actually really do like doing these kind of in-depth videos where we pull a game out and look at every inch of it. You know, we did that with Donkey Kong. What else? I think I did that with Cuber. Did I do that with Cuber? I don't know, but it is actually a video that I like doing, okay? Because I think it's kind of fun to worship a game in one video. It doesn't just have to be gameplay, right? Let's pull the game out. Let's look at the guts. Let's see how it works. So here it is, guys. This is Ice Cold Beer, okay? This is a game that was released in 1983 by Taito. And yes, Taito is a Japanese company. They made, you know, Space Invaders. They made Zookeeper. They made Jungle King. They made a lot of really big games. Really popular stuff, okay? So in 83, for whatever reason, they decided to make this thing, okay? And this is not a video game. What is this? This is some kind of a mechanical game. This is a very, very different game, and it is a very cool game. And they actually made 2 versions. They made this version here called Ice Cold Beer that has this little kind of St. Pauli girl on here with the frosty mug. And if you look on the side, there's a girl on the side with the mug. So this game was clearly designed to go into a bar, into a pub, okay? It's got the beer theme. And even down here, there's this star, okay? And when you get to 10, and by the way, the object of the game, I'll show you guys in a minute here, but basically these holes are numbers. See, that says number 1, number 2, there's 4, there's 3, and this bar moves up and down, and you're trying basically to get the ball into the hole, okay? The lit hole. And they go in order from 1 to 10, okay? So the first time you play the first ball, you gotta get the ball into 1, okay? And then it comes down here, then you have to get into 2, so on and so forth till you get to 10. And then once you drop the ball in 10, it plays this crazy music, right? And then this star remains lit. It stays lit, okay? And what you're supposed to do is go to the bartender and say, hey, look, I finished the game. The star is lit. Give me my frosty mug. Give me my beer. Give me my pint. So I think that is the basic idea here. And then they had another version called Zeke's Peak, okay? And Zeke's Peak was a family-friendly version of this, okay? Really the same exact game, except they changed the artwork. They called it Zeke's Peak. It had this kind of like yodeling type thing, this German, mountain climbing, Bavarian kind of theme to it. And it starred Zeke. And by the way, Zeke is the same exact character here on Taito's Zookeeper, okay? If you look here, look at that. See that? See his hat? His hat says Zeke, okay? So Zeke's Peak, they had this guy in it, and Zeke is, I think they were trying to make him like a Mario. So yeah, they had the two versions, Zeke's Peak and Ice Cold Beer. And actually, why don't I go ahead right now and show you guys what Zeke's Peak looked like, and you can compare how this looked compared to Zeke's Peak. So as you can see, it's really the same game, just the artwork is different. And I actually kind of dig the Zeke's Peak artwork, and really, I've always kind of wanted that one a little bit more than the Ice Cold Beer, but the Ice Cold Beer is cool, though. Don't get me wrong. So anyway, all right, what are we going to do in this video? And by the way, I want to quickly mention, though, there is a modern version of this game. The company Ice, I-C-E, they're like in upstate New York, and they made a modern version of Ice Cold Beer. I don't know if they got the license or the rights or what, but they basically made this game, but like in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, something like that. And it's a big kind of redemption game, but it's essentially the same exact game. It's the same playfield. It's just more modernized, and it's super tall. It's like, this game right here is about 6 feet tall, and the one that Ice made is probably 7. It's probably up to here, And so they made a modern version, and you'll see that one on eBay a lot. I'm trying to think. Someone on the John's Arcade forum actually picked up one of those modern Ice versions of Ice Cold Beer. I like to play one of them, actually. I've never seen them. The joysticks on there are a little different. They have kind of just generic hap joysticks and stuff like you'd find on Street Fighter. So, okay, actually, why don't we start in the front of the cabinet here? And what should we do? Should I pull the machine out? Yeah, you know what? Let's pull the machine out real quick. And so this game, I picked this up from a local collector, and I did not pay a lot of money for this. I think I paid $250, $300. I don't remember, to be honest. And this game is not in the best of shape, to be honest. It really isn't. It's not a showpiece game, but it's very presentable. When I got it, it was not working at all. It was busted. It needed new belts, and it was having an issue with the edge connector, just making connection at the board. So here we go. We got it out, and you guys can kind of see what it looks like from the side. And you can see my cabinet. It's okay. It's presentable. It's actually swollen. The side art is actually in pretty good shape. There's some massive dings here. It's funny. I've had this game for a while, and I've always wondered, if I would have gotten this game like today, like last week, would I allow it to come in the basement in this condition? I don't know. I don't really know. Because this was a game that I just kind of picked up locally. I got it working in the garage, and then I brought it down here, and that was really it. I cleaned it up, of course, fixed everything that was wrong with it. So, okay, so what should we do? Actually, I'm kind of thinking we should look at the front here first, okay? Now, right now, I have the game on a free play, okay? And it's actually a free play mod, okay? So I installed a free play chip that a guy on Clove made, and I don't remember who it was, but it is a hack, okay? There's a hack in here right now that allows this game to have free play. Now, because I have this free play hack in here, there's no attract, okay? Because if I had the game on coin play, these lights would be lighting up during the attract, and I'm a little bummed that I lost that, okay? But I do have to say that it is pretty great having it on free play, and when it's on free play, basically the start button just blinks, 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 okay? See that right there? So it's just blinking, okay? Because when you put a coin in, that's what it does. It blinks like that, okay? Now, let me show you guys. And I've actually considered removing the free play chip just because I missed the attract mode, because right now it has no attract mode, it's just kind of stuck. And I think it periodically makes noise. Now the coin door on this, they actually made 2 different coin doors, okay? I think the earlier models which is what mine is, had this style Taito coin door, okay? And this is kind of the old school Taito coin door. You'll see that game on a bunch of older Taito games like Stratovox and stuff like that. So that is an old Taito style coin door. The later Ice Cold Beers had more of like a coin controls type coin door, which is what you see over here on Zookeeper, okay? So the later versions of Ice Cold Beer had a coin door more like that, okay? And that sticker on there is not original. I threw that on my Zookeeper. But, okay, so anyway, why don't we go ahead and open the coin door here and take a look at the control panel. I want to show you guys the joystick. And actually, I have to tell you something. So this game, I bought from a friend, and I pretty much got it like this, okay? And when I brought it home here, I cleaned it all up, I put a lock on it, and then I tried opening this bottom door, okay? Because there's a door on the bottom right here, okay? And what happens is when you drop a quarter in here, it goes into this little chute, and then it drops into this lower area, okay? And so when I first got the game, it was on coin play, so I was coining it up by hitting the switch, okay? I wasn't dropping quarters in it. But anyway, there's stuff down here, and I don't know what is in here, but there could be $200 in quarters for all I know. I cannot open this bottom door, and that's where the coin box is, okay? And I have tried and tried and tried to open this thing up. I've tried everything. I mean, if you guys got an idea, I'd love to hear it, because someone kicked this. They kicked this hard, and it is just in here, and it's heavy steel too. I've tried putting a screwdriver in here and getting leverage. I don't know, man. I don't know what to do, but I would actually love to know what's inside of here. Anyway, so here's the inside of the coin door, and you know, pretty basic stuff. The mechs are actually missing. There should be a coin mech here and here, but those are universal coin mechs, no big deal. If I wanted to put it on coin play, I could get some coin mechs and throw them in there. But again, when I had it on coin play, I was just hitting the switch, which is right here, and you can coin up that way. There's this little thing right here. I'm not really sure what that's for. I'm not sure if they used this coin door for something else that had a button here, but I believe that to be 100% original, this little plate. So I'm not sure about that. So let's go ahead and just kind of remove the control panel, and I'll show you guys the joysticks and kind of how the light lights up and all that. See this button here, it's lighting. I actually like that. I wish more games did that. But the joysticks are up and down only. Okay, these are up and down joysticks, okay? And so if we look underneath, you can see we have our button here with the light, okay? And let me kind of zoom in here a little close. And this is just a 4-4 bulb, okay? So there's basically 5 volts coming to this. These joysticks are two-directional joysticks, two-direction. We've got some leaf switches on the bottom here, okay? So you guys can kind of see this right here. So when you move the joystick, it hits one of 2 leaf switches, up or down, okay? And these joysticks, I think, are pretty much identical to Stargate and Defender. I'm not positive, but I think they're pretty much the same exact joystick. And there's just 2 leaf switches, one on one side and one on the other. And when you move the joystick, it's down or up. So that would be a very hard joystick to replace. I think that if you were gonna try to scratch build one of these games, which does seem like crazy talk to me, you might wanna look at Defender and Stargate joysticks. They might be good options for this game. Okay, so we have our back glass here, or our bezel rather, and it's silk screened. My buddy Greg in Illinois, remember we went to Greg's arcade, the Flux Capacitor arcade? He actually gave me this one because the bezel that I had wasn't as good. And that's one thing you're gonna find with these games, is that these bezels get blown out, okay? And Taito in general, they just weren't very good at silk screening on glass, you know, because Zookeeper is a big problem, finding good bezels and marquees that aren't blown out. Really all of their games, Jungle King, all of their games that use glass, and they also like to use incandescent bulbs behind the glass, which really eats up the artwork. I did try touching some of this up here, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I touched up some of the flaws because this wasn't perfect, but it's a lot better than the one I had. And you also get some wear on the sides here because the bar will start rubbing into the glass. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead here and just pull the glass off just so we can kind of see. So I'm just gonna lift it up and put it right there. And let's go ahead and pull the glass out. Okay, do want to be careful. Okay, so there you go. So that's what the game looks like with the bezel off, okay? And not super attractive without the bezel. And you can see we have a big fluorescent light on the top. So this right here is kind of like a pinball playfield, okay? And you could treat it as such when you're cleaning this game. And I usually wax this, okay? And it's kind of silk screened directly on the wood. You have these holes cut out. Now, if you look inside the numbered holes, you'll see that there's lights in there, okay? And right now, nothing's lit because I have it on free play, and it's basically saying start the game. Okay, and then we have these kind of rods left and right, okay? You see this? There's a rod here, and it goes all the way to the top, and then there's a rod left and right, okay? And this thing goes up and down, it rides the rod, and I'll show you how this stuff moves on the back. But these rods are really nothing more than a rail. They don't, you know, they don't move or anything, these rods. These are just kind of like the track that this thing rides along. And in the back, this is connected to a pulley that goes up and down, and then this thing just kind of goes on the rods, okay? And then we have a little LED scoreboard down here. This one is 4 digits, this one is 3, and this one is 1, and then we have an LED that lights up for the star. But that's pretty much the front here. Actually, down here is the ball release, okay? And so after you drop a ball in the hole, say number 1, this rod then comes down, and as it comes down, it hits, let's see if you guys can see this a little better if this is down. As the rod comes down, okay, it hits this little nub right here. And when it hits the nub, see that? The ball falls out, okay? And the ball is supposed to land on the rail like that, okay? And this is a 5/8 inch 0.625 ball, okay? And you can buy this ball at Marco Specialties, okay? And then I'm just gonna drop the ball in here. And now it's back in that position. Now, if you look on the bottom, there's another hole right here, okay? And what's the purpose of that hole? And there's also this rail, okay? So sometimes when you're playing the game, the ball will actually get on the wrong side of this rod. It'll be on this side towards the glass, and it'll actually fall down, okay? And it'll fall between the rod and the glass, and it has nowhere to go, nothing's holding it, and it falls straight down, okay? And that's what that hole is for. So if the ball falls straight down, it hits this rail. So let me show you guys. Let me see if I can demonstrate. Let me see if I can demonstrate this. So say we're playing the game, okay, and we got the ball in the rod, and whoops. So say we're playing the game, and we've got the ball in the rod, okay? And for some reason, it just kind of falls off the rod, and it falls all the way down, okay? And it falls, and then it hits this piece of metal, and then it hits the metal, and then it rolls, and it goes in that hole, okay? And now in the back is a vertical up kick, and it's gonna kick it up and drop it into this, and I'll show you guys that in a second here. So let's turn this around. So right now, I got the ball in here, so let's go see where it just went, okay? All right, so I gotta see if I can turn this around while keeping it plugged in. Okay, so now again, I got this game kind of on the cheap, and it didn't have a back door when I got it. Okay, so here's how it looks from behind. Okay, and so right here is our solenoid right there. If you guys can see that, there's a solenoid down there. Okay, and that's what kicks the ball back up if it drops into that no man's land. Now, right now, there's not a game playing, but when it starts, it'll come up here and activate this, and there, I just put the ball into its position. So, but that's the vertical up kick that's going to do that, and that's basically like a pinball type part. It's a pinball coil, okay? So if we look at the back here, and by the way, since I don't have a back door on here, this thing actually really attracts spiders. I've had to clean this game numerous times over the years because spiders seem to want to live inside this game. And right now it's actually not that bad. It was worse before. Like one time I pulled this out and I could not believe the whole inside was like just all spider webs. It was crazy. I probably should make a back door for this game. What do you think? So anyway, all right, so here's the back, okay? And this game actually mechanically is very simple, okay? So we have this vacuum formed back piece right here, okay? See this? This is all vacuum formed plastic, right? And so, and if you look, you can see that it has like little channels that the ball will travel down to get back to the start point, okay? And it's kind of hard to see, but if the ball, you can see the channel over here. Like, so if you got the ball in this hole right here, it would come down in this channel and then follow this rail down back into the start position, okay? And behind every hole is a switch, a micro switch, okay, right here. And the micro switch is really nothing more than like a pinball micro switch, okay? And behind every hole is also a light right here, a 4-4 bulb light. And that's really it. So when this hole is lit, okay, so let's say, and by the way, we're gonna play a game after this. Maybe I should have played the game first, I don't know, whatever. We'll come back and play a game so you guys can really see how it works. But let's say that this is the goal right now, this hole right here. So this bulb will be lit and it's flashing, okay? And so when we drop the ball into it, it hits a switch, and then the game knows that the ball went through that hole, and it gives you the credit for that, and then it goes on to the next hole. If it goes anywhere else, okay, it's gonna basically come down through here and hit this switch, and it knows that nothing happened. It knows that you did not get into the right hole, and then you lose a ball, okay? Make sense? Okay, and then over here, left and right, okay, so on the right side over here, we have these pulleys, okay? Do you see this pulley wheel right here? And then there's like this kind of clear rubber band, okay? These are the pulleys for the game. Now, Marco Specialties and also Twisty Wrist Arcade sells these rubber bands, okay? And Marco has them for like $10. Twisty Wrist is actually a little more. He wants like 20 bucks for them, okay? And so when you move the joysticks up and down, this motor is running, okay? And you can see it's got a series of gears here to get extra torque, okay? And so when I move the left joystick, this motor's gonna run, and then turn this pulley, which in turn then moves this rubber band, or whatever you want to call this, the belt. Yes, this is a belt. Anyway, the belt is attached to this pulley down here, okay? So when you move the joystick, the motor spins, okay? The motor goes either forward or backwards, and the pulley moves forward or backwards. And then this belt rides on the pulley up and down, okay, depending on which way you're moving the joystick. And then you can see right here, the bar in the front is screwed to the front of the belt, right there, okay? So as this belt moves up and down, okay, it also moves the bar up and down, okay? And that's how you control the bar, okay? So the left joystick is gonna control this motor, the right joystick's gonna control that motor. So when you move the left, this side of the bar goes up and down, and when you move the right, this side of that bar moves up and down, okay? So if you notice up here on the top, there's a switch right there. So there's a micro switch right there. So that means that when the bar comes all the way up, if it hits that switch, the game says, no, 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 you can't go any further, and it prevents you from moving the bar any further, okay? And then there's also one on the bottom, okay? So that's kind of how the game keeps the bar on the playfield, and you cannot go beyond the bottom or the top, and it keeps the bar in a reasonable spot, and it doesn't like fall off of the track, okay? So it stops it here on the bottom, it stops it on the top. And of course, we have the same exact setup on this side here, with the switches on the bottom, switch on the top, the belt, the pulley, the motor, etc. So really, that is like the whole mechanical aspect of this game. And it's actually not that complicated, really. You know, it's almost like a pinball machine. You know, we've got switches, we've got lights, we've got a coil, we've got, you know, motors, which you might find on some pinball machines, belts and pulleys, which are, you know, kind of unique. The belts do go bad. This is really common, though. When you get a game, you might think it's completely broken. Actually, when I got my game, these belts were just completely blown out. I mean, because they dry up over time and basically disintegrate. And so you can buy a broken game, and a lot of times you can fix it just by replacing these belts right here. And luckily, you can find these belts fairly easily. Like I said, Marco Specialty has them for about $9, and Twisty Wrist Arcade sells them too for 20. And these belts here are one piece. They're not joined here in the center, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty certain this is a one-piece belt. I've heard you can use like windshield wiper hoses too, but I wouldn't mess around with that. Just get the one-piece belt. You can get it at Marco Specialties. So anyway, okay, what else is back here? Well, right here, this is the back of our LED board, okay? And we have a little edge connector right here that goes to the game PCB, okay? And if we look at the bottom of the game here, And admittedly, I haven't really looked in here since I got this game. I actually forgot even what it's like down here. On the bottom is our transformer and power supply. It's very simple and basic, okay? So we've got some kind of a filter cap there. We've got some bridge rectifiers right there that are converting to the AC to DC. There's that little board with a bunch of fuses and Molex connectors. Pretty simple stuff, actually. I haven't had to rebuild this, but it looks like if I were to rebuild it, it wouldn't be too involved, okay? And then, if you look over here, actually in this corner, on this side, there's a plumb bob, okay? This is for tilt, okay? So if you were to bang on the game or shake it, this little thing would go off and it would know that the game tilted, okay? And basically how it works, if you lean the game too far to one side or hit it too far, this thing, metal makes contact with metal, closes the circuit, and then bam, the game says you just tilted and you get a penalty. I've actually never tilted the game before. Okay, so here's the game PCB, okay? And it looks like over here is some kind of a sound amp section, I'm guessing. Pretty sure, because that's the volume right there. You can see here I have my custom EEPROM in there for the free play. I got that from a guy in Clove. And that's really it. It's a single board setup. Is it Z80 based? I don't even know. I actually haven't touched this thing at all. I haven't done anything. Actually, I did do a little something. When I first got the game, it was kind of acting a little flaky. It wasn't registering the switches all the time. And some of the lights were not lit when they should have been, and it was the edge connector. It just had, there was like some flaky, dirty connections, and I cleaned all of this up and just made sure everything was in here really nice, and it pretty much fixed it like instantly, and I haven't had an issue since, knock on wood. But so far this has been a pretty reliable game, really. Once I got it working, I haven't had to touch it since, and knock on all kinds of wood. It did flake out on me once. It was actually the day of my party. I had a summer party, and the game did flake out, and I resat the edge connectors on the PCB, and it fixed it, and that was like a few years ago, and it's been fine ever since. So, let's see what else. We have a Taito serial tag. You want to see that? So, here's the Taito serial tag, serial number 159857. I have no idea how many of these they made at all. I have no idea. I'd love to know, though, because this game's interesting. It does seem like a game that is in demand. It does seem like a game that doesn't come up for sale that often, but it does come up for sale. And lately, these games are going for big money. And, mine is certainly not an amazing specimen, but mine is very playable. It's a player's game. It plays perfect. It's definitely beat up, but it's one of those games I'll just never get rid of, and I'm not going to get rid of it because I really truly like it, and it gets a lot of love, especially during my parties. And there's also a speaker. We didn't point that out. See that speaker right there? I don't know, it's like a 6-inch speaker or something. I can't really tell, but there's a speaker back there. But that's really the whole game, and if you were to scratch build one of these, I don't know, man. There's actually a guy on Arcade Controls that is scratch building an Ice Cold Beer. And so, dude, you should go on there and see that thread. Maybe you've seen it already because he's scratch building one. He actually gave it a new theme. It has like an alien theme, and it's actually pretty neat. So, all right, so why don't I do this? Why don't I put the game back in its hole? And why don't we do a demonstration game? Why don't we play the game at least? But that is really the entire game. I mean, did we miss anything? Did I not show you guys something? I don't think so. I think we saw everything here. The only thing we didn't see is that bottom coin door, and I don't even know what the hell is down there. But, all right, so yeah, let me put the game back together, and let's play as some Ice Cold Beer. Okay, we have the game all back together here, and why don't we just play a quick game? Because, I do want to make this, like, the definitive Ice Cold Beer video, and it is a tough game to film, though, because it's a vertical kind of portrait game, and we have a landscape camera here, so let's see if we can get a good spot, and maybe I'll kind of focus on the lower part, and I'll pull out as we go up. So, all right, let's play a game. And by the way, this is the greatest stool ever for Ice Cold Beer. See that? That's like I think that's an acoustic guitar, maybe even a drum stool. I got that on eBay or something, and it's a short stool, and it's Gretsch, which is one of my favorite brands of guitar. They also make drums, but But it's the perfect stool because it's short and it's just the right height when you're playing this game. So anyway, let's come in here and let's play a game. And so again, we have two joysticks. They both go up and down. They're both two-way joysticks. Okay, and we have a start button right here. Okay, and what's going to happen is these holes are all labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and we're basically trying to get the ball into the holes that are lit and then get all the way to the top. So let's go ahead and start a game. Make sure this is a cool camera angle. Is that okay? Let's see. Okay, I think that's good. All right, let's press start. And then the music, 99 bottles of beer on the wall. Gotta love that. And so, see how that works? And there's a timer here, a bonus timer. It's counting down from 100 on the first hole. And the sooner we get it into the hole, the more bonus we get. Okay, so we just got 60 points. Okay, and now hole number 2 is flashing. See that right there? Okay, so now we want to get into hole number 2. Okay, there you go. And now hole number 3 is right here. And our score now is 240 points. So let's get into hole number 3. And when I first got this game, it really was hard. Okay, it took me a long time to get to the top. And it was very addicting too. I have to tell you, when I got this game, holy cow, this game like grabbed a hold of me. I will say this, and I'm being truthful here. I've had this game in the basement now for a number of years, and I really don't play it. I don't, okay? And I do play it every now and then, but I don't play it nearly as much as, like, you know, pole position, okay? Because it is kind of a one-trick pony. I mean, all these games down here are a one-trick pony, but this is very repetitive, okay? And in the beginning, it's kind of slow. So once you're able to get through the first, 6 really easy, this is a little monotonous in the beginning here. But don't think for a second this is a bad game, because it's not. It's actually great. And when I have parties, it is definitely one of the most played games. The kids really like it too. All right, so we don't want to. There we go. 5. Okay. So now we're gonna be lighting up hole number 6, which is up here. And we're getting more points here because the bonus clock gets larger. So now the bonus clock is 600. So I guess it's 100 per hole. And let's work our way up to hole number 6 here. Oh, and so I dropped it in that hole, which of course is wrong. And the bonus clock leaves off where it left off, so it's at 570 now. It starts off where it left off. Alright, so let's come up here and get to hole number 6. Should probably get a new ball. Mine looks a little tarnished. Alright, so that's hole number 6. And the next one here is hole number 7, which is right there. And hopefully we can get to 10 on this, and I can show you guys the lit up star and all that. So hole number 7 is right here. You can see there's a lot of holes around here. It is actually a really ingenious design. And all these holes are supposed to be like bubbles. Like this if you look at the game, if you kind of take a step back, this whole thing is a frosty mug of beer. And these holes are bubbles in the beer glass, in the mug. All right, I need to kind of concentrate here. Damn it. And when you go through the game once, the second time around and each time around, the game starts screwing with the bar. The bar will start moving on its own, which makes it actually very challenging. It kind of gets on your nerves. All right, we gotta get to hole 7 here. Okay, so that's 7. So the next hole here is 8. Let me see if I need to move the camera up a little bit. And we just got a free ball. You hear that sound? All right, so let's go for hole number 8. So I think I'm gonna come from up the left side, which I think is the safest bet here. All right, there's 8. Next hole is up here, hole number 9. So what do you guys think? Pretty cool, right? I definitely need to clear this though. We need to get to 10. All right, so let's go for a 9 right there. And let me see if I can figure out the best way to get up there. No! Damn it. This is the last ball, man. I cannot screw this up. All right. Fuck! I didn't finish the game. Well, you guys get the idea. I mean, that's Ice Cold Beer. It is really a great game. And, you know, so you get to 9, and then you do 10, and then after that, this star lights up down here. And you can see right now, game over is lit up on the bottom. So, yeah, that's it, man. I mean, that is Ice Cold Beer. And you can see my friend, so my score was 3,130. Now, my friend Ted, he got a score of 18,560 down here. That's pretty great, right? So yeah, that is it, man. That's Ice Cold Beer from 1983 by Taito. What did you guys think of that, huh? Did you like seeing inside the game? It is definitely a cool game. So, all right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for Ice Cold Beer. Why don't we go back to the table here, and I want to do a few viewer mails, and we'll get out of here. But my friend in Sydney there, I hope you enjoyed that video. That was just for you, pal. You're right, though. That is a cool game. I'm kind of saddened that there's no Ice Cold Beer in Australia. You'd think they'd have it there because Taito was a global company with worldwide distribution. How come there was no Ice Cold Beer in Australia? Weird. So, all right, guys, let's move on and do some viewer mail here. If you guys want to participate in the viewer mail segment, you need to email them to me at blkdog7@gmail.com. That's blkdog7@gmail.com. In the subject line, please put viewer mail. All right, so, the first one here is from Marty, okay? It says, John, hello, great YouTube channel. I have been watching you now for over 6 months. I am new to this hobby and currently have no arcades. You know what? It's interesting to me. There's actually a lot of guys that watch this channel that have no arcade games. I think that's actually pretty cool. Anyway, he says, prior to watching, I started to create my Hyper Spin arcade game. I've been putting this together now for 2 years. A lot of work involved. I am finishing the Hyper Spin software portion and will shortly be building the arcade cabinet. I am also still rebuilding my home due to Hurricane Sandy. Oh, that sucks. And making some room for an arcade room in the new home. This is not the reason why I'm emailing you. He says, my question. I will have room for about 4 games and maybe 1 cocktail. I have been looking for the old-style arcades on Craigslist. Looking for a Centipede, an Asteroids, or a Deluxe, or a Space Invaders, a Galaga, Galaxian, Paperboy, etc. I find them from time to time, but when I call about them, they either do not call you back, or you are too late. They're sold. Man, I had seen this Frogger game that was reasonably priced at $500 working, and it looked good. It was posted for about 6 hours. I called and I never received a call back, and then the ad was gone. This is about what I'm running into. I am technically inclined, so if I could find and repair, I'd even grab this, but finding these, I run into the same thing. The only ones I see I can purchase are over $900 from an arcade dealer. I did not know there would be so much competition. I live in New Jersey and I live close to Pennsylvania and New York. Do you think it is a handful of people buying these up? What do you recommend that you see would work, Marty? Marty, you know, I actually get a lot of emails like this. It seems like you guys are getting frustrated trying to find these games. And I don't really know what to tell you. As far as Craigslist goes, it is very competitive, okay? It's a very competitive marketplace, okay? the good deals are going to be gone instantly, okay? And the good deals happen. They come up on Craigslist all the time, okay? Trust me, I have gotten Craigslist deals. They exist, okay? But you need to be aggressive. You need to be on it. You need to check Craigslist every day, every hour, every half hour, every 10 minutes. It needs to become your job if you really want to get these games, okay? In the beginning, when I was collecting, I had an app on my phone that would alert me every time something came up for sale, okay? If you go to the John's Arcade forums, I have a Craigslist search string that I use, okay? And I have that search string programmed into a Craigslist notifier that is a Chrome extension, okay? And so every time something on Craigslist matches my search string, it pops up, okay? And my search string, I feel, is pretty refined, okay? It gets rid of a lot of the bogus stuff like tickets, you'll search for arcade games and Arcade Fire tickets will come up for sale, or Xbox 360s, or PlayStations. It gets rid of all of those bogus listings, okay? So use an app, use a plugin for Chrome that automatically notifies you when something matches your search criteria, and you gotta be ready to go. You gotta be ready to get in the car, and don't be wishy-washy, okay? Do not be wishy-washy. When you contact these people, you need to contact them with authority, okay? If they say, I have a working centipede, it looks great, I want $350, okay? You're gonna email them and you're gonna say, I'll take it, I'll be there today at 5 o'clock, I have a truck, I have a dolly, please tell me your address. That's what you're gonna do. Don't be wishy-washy. Don't sit there and say, can you send me more photos? Don't ask questions. You gotta be aggressive. You gotta follow your gut. If it seems like a good deal, if the pictures look good, if the listing seems legit, you gotta be aggressive. You gotta go after it, okay? I'm gonna tell you something. I actually bought a game on Craigslist in the last month here that you guys haven't seen yet. It's in the garage. We're gonna go look at it probably this weekend. So I was looking for this game. It was on Craigslist and it was on there for weeks, okay? But the price was very, very high, okay? Extremely high, too high, okay? And it just sat there, rotting. And I'm like, you know what? This is something that I need, okay? Because I'm doing this project that I'll be talking about soon. And I'm like, I need this cabinet, okay? And it's the only one I could find. And it's been on here for a few weeks, okay? So the listing actually went away. It was off of Craigslist, okay? And I thought, okay, the guy must have sold it, right? Well, I did some research. I ended up finding the listing through a photo. It was some really serious internet forensic stuff that I pulled off here. But I managed to find the phone number, okay? And I called the guy, and it was like a dealer, an antique dealer. And I said, hey, I saw that you had this game on Craigslist a few weeks ago. Is it still available? Yes, it is, okay? And this is what I did, okay? And I said, okay. I said, can you tell me about the condition? I saw the photos. I had the guy on the phone. So I had his full attention. I wasn't emailing him, so I asked him questions at that point. And what he was describing sounded exactly what I needed and what I wanted, okay? I did not talk price, okay? I knew that his price was too high, okay? And I actually talked to a woman earlier there, and she told me that the price was a little negotiable. And so I went down and looked at the game, and I did not talk price until I got there, okay? I looked at the game, I started picking it apart, I said, this is a problem, this is a problem. And mind you, the guy that was selling this game was not a collector, he was not a game guy, it was just an antique dude who happened to have an arcade game, okay? It wasn't one of us, okay? And so I offered him, I made him an offer that was about 50% less than he was asking, okay? And he said, no, I can't do that. And I said, okay, how about this? And I came up like $100. And he said, okay, fine, I'll take it. So I ended up getting it for about 40% off of what he was asking, okay? But I negotiated when I got there, okay? So what I'm trying to say here, and I've done this before, if you see a game that's on Craigslist forever, okay? Like there's a game that's so overpriced and it's just sitting there on Craigslist. Don't be afraid to make a low offer because you know what? No one's offering this guy anything, okay? And I've done that a couple times now where games have been on Craigslist for a long time and I'm like, you know what? I'll make a lowball offer. If they take it, fine. If not, I'll move on. I've done that. And I've also made the offer when I got to the place. Anyway, my point of all this is you gotta be aggressive on Craigslist. You gotta be there first. You can't be wishy-washy. You gotta make the offer. You got to be confident. You got to say you'll come right away. You got to say you have a dollar. You got to say you have a truck. You have to make it as easy and painless as possible for that seller to sell you the game. And if you sit there and you say, can you send me more photos? Can you tell me more about the game? You know, if you ask all of these questions in email, you know what? You're probably not going to get a response, okay? Now, I know that it's hard to do that when the person selling the game lives 300 miles away. In that case, yeah, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to ask questions. You're going to have to get pictures before you drive 300 miles. But if it's like a half-hour drive and you really want the game, get in the car and go. That's all I'm saying. Just get in the presence of the seller, look at the game, and then do your negotiation there if you have to. And then also, and I said this numerous times, you gotta meet local collectors. And in Pennsylvania, and in New York, and in New Jersey, there are a ton of collectors down there. There is a New York collecting forum, too, that's out there. Find that forum and join it. You know, Craigslist is fine. You will get the deals on there, but it's a ton of work. It's gonna be less work dealing with another collector. They're gonna be more reasonable. They're gonna be more in tune with what games really sell for. So if you can, try to meet collectors in your area. I think I sound like a broken record with this. I think that we covered this topic a lot. And really, the bottom line is you can't be wishy-washy. All right, let's do the next one here. This one is from Michael Dillon. Hey, John. Firstly, I love your videos. I binge-watched the entire Journey Restore, and I loved the end result. I want one of those machines for my collection so bad. And that series has renewed my search around here. My collection is still small compared to others listed below. And recently I picked up an old Street Fighter 2 that was busted to rebuild into a Third Strike. You know what, Third Strike seems cool to me. I kind of want that Street Fighter 3 board. Pricey though. Anyway, one thing I know I must do is rebuild the monitor and replace the flyback. As I started the project, my Virtual On and Ninja Turtles both have started giving me monitor issues that might lead to a rebuild for my research. My main question comes down to discharging a monitor. I have looked up high voltage probes and they seem to run about $120 to $160 depending on the device. But I know many people just use a screwdriver and a wire. I saw you do as such a few times. How exactly do you build such a device, as I can't imagine it is simply a wire, an alligator clip, and a screwdriver? Excuse me. Also, would you suggest biting the bullet and getting a legitimate HV probe? Thanks in advance and stay awesome. His collection is a Virtual On 2-seater, cool. Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time 4-player. Dude, everyone wants that game right now. That is hot. Golden Axe, Revenge of the Death Adder 4-player. I don't know if I know that. Is that like a dedicated cabinet? Cool. Street Fighter 2 Championship, Big Blue. I love that cabinet. Actually, I kind of wish I had the Big Blue. Way cooler than my 3-comb over there. A Pump It Up DX, a Revolution X, a Street Fighter Third Strike in pieces, and a Drum Mania 8th Mix. Wow, man, you got some newer, bigger games. Okay, so he's asking about a discharge tool, okay? And I have a couple here, okay? Now, this is what most people use, okay? And this is your run-of-the-mill homemade discharge tool. And this is pretty much what most guys are gonna use on color raster monitors. You know, your 25-inch, your G07s, your 4900s, your K7000s. This is the device right here. And it is nothing more than a wire, an alligator clip, and a screwdriver. That's it, okay? And this is pretty much what everybody uses, okay? Now, and by the way, I have a really long screwdriver that my dad gave me at some point in my life, okay? And I took a wire and I kind of sanded this down or ground it. I don't remember how I did this, to be honest. And I wrapped it around the screwdriver and I soldered it to the screwdriver, okay? And then I took a wire, I don't remember what gauge this is, 10 gauge or something kind of heavy. And I have an alligator clip on the other end here. And then I took electrical tape and wrapped it all around the handle, okay? And so you can see, it's basically just a wire attached to the screwdriver, soldered on here, and then it goes to the other end with an alligator clip, okay? And that is your basic discharge tool, okay? Now, if you do some research, there are guys that will say that this is not adequate, okay? That you should have an inline resistor, and I think it's 100 mega ohm. Research this on your own, but you should have a 100 mega ohm inline resistor on here that kind of bleeds the monitor, okay? Because this is a very abrupt short, okay? And in theory, you could damage the monitor and the HV diode that's inside of it, okay? And that really mostly applies to vector monitors, namely black and white vector monitors. So when you're discharging those type of monitors, you never want to use a tool like this. You want to add an inline resistor, or you want to get yourself an HV probe. And if you want to be very safe, and you don't want to do this, because there is a little bit of risk involved. I guess you could, in theory, ruin your monitor and blow the HV diode. I've used this countless times, honestly. I've never had a problem. Doesn't mean that you're not, but it's possible, okay? But this is the tool that most people use. And, you know, if you go to Bob Roberts' website, he actually sells, you can buy one from him that has a shorter screwdriver, but he basically sells these, okay, this kit. And so this is kind of, most people regard this to be the standard in discharging. If you wanted to get a little, if you wanted to be safer, you can get an HV probe, okay? And this thing has the resistor built in. It has the inline resistor built in. And what you do is you just basically take this alligator clip and you put it on the frame, okay? Which is what I do. I know some guys put it on the Aqua Dog, whatever, where it connects to the monitor. I usually put it on the frame of the monitor, not the chassis, the frame, the metal frame, okay? And then what this does is it kind of gradually discharges, it bleeds the voltage out of the tube, okay? And if you had a multimeter, you could plug this into the multimeter and you can watch the voltage go down. Now, this is not an instantaneous discharge, okay? And I should actually do a video discharging a monitor with one of these, because it's not like you just go snap and it's done. You actually have to hold it on there, and you'll hear like sizzling, okay? And I've used this a couple times now, and it behaves very differently than this. So what you probably should do is plug this into a meter, because what this does, it steps the voltage down, because the voltage that's coming out of the tube, I think it's like 25,000 volts or something. And this thing, this model, by the way, is Fluke 80K-40 HV probe, 40K volts peak max. So 40,000 volts peak max, okay? And the model is 80K-40, 80K-40 Fluke. I bought this on eBay. I did not pay much more than $50 for this, okay? I will tell you this, it took me a while to find one on eBay that was not $100. So they do show up. This one came from Boeing. Look at, there's a Boeing sticker on here. Isn't that funny? So this came from a Boeing laboratory, okay? And it says here, not calibrated, do not use for acceptance testing and production. So who knows what they use this for? Maybe to discharge CRTs on old airplanes? Pretty cool, right? But I got this on eBay for about 50 bucks. If you are worried, you probably should invest in this, okay? But just keep in mind, it's not a sudden discharge. With this thing, it's like snap, that's it, it's drained, right? And by the way, I'm oversimplifying the discharge process. Go back and watch one of my videos and do some research if you're gonna, before you do it. But this one is more of a gradual bleed, and so if you have your meter, you could plug this into the meter and you can watch the voltage go from, you know, 20,000 to 0 as it bleeds it down. And then when it gets to 0, it's kind of safe to assume it's discharged. What I would probably do is I'd bring it to 0 and then come in with this guy and then really make sure it's discharged and get that last volt out of there or whatever. But yeah, those are kind of your options, your three options. Your very basic screwdriver, wire, and alligator clip, or a screwdriver with an inline resistor like 100 mega ohm that can handle the 25,000 volts, or you get yourself an HV probe. But I encourage you to do more research if you're gonna build one of these. Bob Roberts has a tutorial on his website that I think is on the arcade controls that shows how to make one of these. You don't need to have a screwdriver this long. I actually enjoy having a screwdriver this long. I think it's pretty safe. But so yeah, those are your choices, Michael. All right, so the next one is from Joel Conklin. And I got a lot of emails like Joel's since the last video. And we are going to read Joel's email. And we're going to address this topic one last time, and then I'm never going to talk about it, okay? Because the last video, I kind of vented a little bit about the comments, okay? And maybe I learned a lesson from that. And you'd think that John would know better because John's been doing podcasts for 10 years, and John's seen every possible comment known to man, good or bad, about his shows or his presentation, his voice, his whatever. I've heard it all, okay? For whatever reason, those comments on the last video that I talked about in the last video got to me, okay? And I kind of vented, okay? I will say this before I read this, that the guy that really got under my skin, whole set, he came on the John's Arcade forums, and him and I hashed it out. We talked about it like men. And I have to tell you, at the end of the conversation, I kind of liked the dude. It was actually all right. You know what? I made a friend out of it. So, guys, leave him alone. You don't have to tell him to back off anymore. Turns out he's an okay guy. We hashed it out on the John's Arcade forums. But anyway, so Joel Conklin writes in and says, "Hey, John, after watching your last video about the Gottlieb voltage testing, I just wanted to send you some good vibes after hearing about the frustration you are going through with the comments. It seems that when a YouTube channel hits a certain amount of viewers, the jerks and know-it-alls can sometimes outvoice the people that can offer some kind words or constructive criticism." Man, I'm burpy. "Please keep up the great work and don't let them get to you too much. You and your videos encouraged me to pick up a cheap Galaga cabinet a few weeks back, and I have since been using your techniques to rebuild it. Everything from using citrus gel for stripping, the paint decals, using a dowel to plug up the hole for the security bar, and the excellent tip for using the Bondo to fix the corners and the edges. Without your videos, and yes, sometimes Google, I never would have attempted any of it, so a huge thank you for your effort and entertainment. Take care, Joel. P.S. I was number 299 when I bought my t-shirt with 9 hours to go. So congrats on the successful campaign, and I can't wait to wear it." So yes, Joel, thank you, pal. I actually got a lot of emails like this, basically saying, "John, don't listen to the comments. What you're doing is great. We like it. I've learned enough. I've learned a lot from your videos. That's all that matters. You're helping people out. We appreciate it. Don't listen to the comments." And you know what? I don't know again what got into me, but I felt the need to address the comments last week, and I probably shouldn't have. Lesson learned. You'd think I was smarter, because really I am. But you know what? I made a friend. I made a whole set as my buddy now. We're friends. And by the way, he says he was t-shirt number 299. So yes, our t-shirt campaign is over, and I really have to thank you guys. I have to thank everybody that bought a t-shirt, because we sold 310 t-shirts. Think about that. That is a lot of shirts. You know, I never thought we were, I had no, really, in my mind, I thought 100 was like wishful thinking. We sold 310 shirts. Guys, thank you. It is appreciated. My God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful. You guys are absolutely awesome. I have the best audience. You guys truly do support me, and it means so much. It's very motivating. I'm here for you guys. I am here. So I will be making as many of these videos as possible, because you guys are awesome, and I want to make them for you. So anyway, and for me, I enjoy making these videos, I have to tell you. But anyway, thanks for supporting me on the t-shirt campaign. And thank you guys for coming in there and defending me with the comments. But let's not talk about that stuff anymore. I don't want to focus on that part of it. Let's stay positive, okay? Because I consider myself a pretty positive guy, okay? And I'm not going to dwell on that anymore. All right, that's behind me. That is water under the bridge. We are moving on. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I release videos on Sundays and sometimes in between, like this one. This is one of those in-between videos. And so if you guys have never subscribed to my channel, go ahead and click subscribe. I release new videos on Sundays and sometimes in between. And then also I have two podcasts, Arcade Outsiders at arcadeoutsiders.com and Video Game Outsiders at videogameoutsiders.com. You guys can find those podcasts on iTunes and Stitcher and anywhere you find podcasts. And we also do them live. If you want to listen live, go to allgames.com starting at 9 p.m. Eastern on allgames.com, 9 p.m. Eastern Tuesdays at allgames.com. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I am done. And then this weekend, guys, you know what? My plan is to go in the garage. Okay, we're gonna do some stuff out there. You know, we're not gonna get right into any restores. I need to ease into it. It's not quite 70 degrees yet, but I want to get in the garage and do some stuff. And so we're gonna go out there, and I'll show you guys the game I picked up, and it's actually pretty great. And some stuff actually left the garage. So we're going to do a little bit of a garage update this weekend. Go out there, and I want to see if we can maybe get that jump bug going, because that would be really sweet. I know the power supply's got some issues, and that would be great if that's all it is. So we'll see what's going on, because I really haven't taken inventory of what is up with that jump bug. I have no idea at all. So we'll do that this weekend. So anyways, that's it for me, guys. Later and bye.